All right, welcome to the Grigg and Rig Show. This is the inaugural episode. Pretty exciting stuff. It's a lovely Thursday, um,
It is Thursday, November
November
3rd.
3rd, 2022. We have Viggy, uh, Big Rig on the left here, and I'm Greg on the right. We'll be talking some World Series, some Kyrie news, Wolves, Sykes, probably other sort of BS. But yeah, I guess to jump into the World Series. What's actually the score right now, Vig, for Game Five?
Yeah, so excited to be here again, Greg. I'm going to call you Greg for the rest of this podcast because I'm contractually obligated to. I know I never call you that in person, but here we are. We got our own show right now, kicking it off here with the World Series. It's 2-1 Astros right now, fourth inning, 2 outs. Verlander just painted the outside corner on this lefty guy. Oh, the guy with the big beard. I forgot his name. I think it's like Marsh or something.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. He's been popping off, hasn't
Yeah, dude, this guy looks like a freaking. I don't know. He belongs in like West Virginia or something, bro. He's like an Appalachian looking ass. But anyway, yeah, he's looking okay, bro. Kyle Schwarber's up though. He hit a home run first inning. See what he does in this at bat. Looks like Verlander's throwing him a lot of breaking pitches, just because second pitch of the whole game, Schwarber took a up in the zone fastball, just pulled it to right, and I feel like Verlander's not going to target him with many fastballs, but yeah, dude. Overall, I mean, it's been a pretty good playoffs, I would say, in general for MLB. I mean, that first round, including the wild card, pretty crazy. A lot of stuff happened. A lot of upsets. Kind of speaks to the unpredictability of baseball in general, where you're whittling a 162 game season down to a series of five. It's just
he?
you never know what's going to happen.
It's too many games, Vig. It's too many games. I think that's probably the number one like barrier of entry to me back into MLB is like even though there's literally no other sports going on in the summer besides like
Oh, it's
maybe MLS and like August Premier League, it is like
there's weekly Formula One sometimes if you're into that. Formula One's on, UFC's on. Like there's other things on the weekends, but those are weekend specific. During the week
right.
though, 5 out of 7 days of the week for like 3 months, this is all we got.
My point is there's no competition and like there's just still and we're pretty big sports guys and I just have no want or need to watch these games. I was talking to Jake about this. I think yeah, imagine how cool it would be because like baseball's obviously a very slow sport. It's very boring to watch, especially compared to like hockey, baseball, even soccer. If baseball was like once a week, like Sunday night, like make it like a special occasion. You know what I mean? Because it's already like slower. It's a longer game. Make every game like mean a lot. You know what I mean? Like there's like
Yeah, man.
50 games. Like that'd be super sweet. Because then it's like it's almost like an event. You know, like even more so than other like sports games because it's like a longer pace kind of game. Um,
It
I think
is.
that'd
It
be cool,
is.
but yeah, I don't know. There's too many games. But yeah, I agree. The series has been pretty good. Plus, been good. Um,
Yeah, going back to the general point of baseball, though, Griff. I mean, there's like a multitude of points and factors that can like go into why. I mean, you and I being 20 somethings now, like being like less interested in baseball, just it's a sport that you kind of have to. Actually, you don't have to. It's a sport you can very casually observe, meaning you can just look at like your phone the next morning and see what the scores were if you like to. Or it's just not a sport that's very conducive to watching every day of the week. It's
no.
something that as we get older and like honestly in this generation, shorter attention spans, like that is a factor I think in the sense of sitting for a game that's already slow enough, already like listed as 3 hour long games that routinely go 3.5, 4 hours long. It's just something that's not sustainable to average American sports fan to just sit down and watch a game or watch a series of games for several weeks at a time.
Yeah.
And the thing is, with combining that into like a very, very, very relative to the season condensed format in the form of the playoffs, it makes it exciting for just sports fans like us to tune into it. You know, like I always look forward to October for baseball because it's only 4 to 5 weeks of play too. It's really not that long. Like and NBA playoffs go for like 2.5 months. Same with hockey. NFL's short, but there's only like 12 games, 13 games they play all playoffs. It's meant to be short. With baseball, it's pretty wild. I saw some stat last week about how if you were to truly like set a series parameters for to determine who the best team in a series is, you'd have to play a best of 70 series in baseball. It's like what the statistics showed with that. They're whittling it down to 7 games max, 5 for the divisional series. It's just you never know what's going to happen. You routinely have wild card teams. Like the Royals did it 10 years ago, went to the World Series. They lost to the Giants,
Yeah,
but they made it to the World Series. They hadn't made the playoffs in years. I think it was like 20 years or something like that. They hadn't made the playoffs until then. And they make it to the World Series that year. They parlay that into a division title the year after, win the whole thing. Then the Nationals did that like 3 years ago too. They won their wild card game. They beat the same Astros we're seeing right now. Phillies right now, they're a wild card team as well. They were the lowest seed. They're the sixth seed.
yeah.
First year in baseball history that they expanded to 6 teams, and they make it to the World Series, and they have a very good shot at winning it potentially.
I know
You never know.
yeah, it's crazy. Well, that's what makes the Twins' ineptitude in the playoffs even more amazing
Nah,
because it's
insane,
what
dude.
17 in a row.
17 or 18, man. It's
Yeah,
been 20,
yeah,
20 years.
it's mind numbing. But yeah, no, it is very ironic that like baseball of all sports, like where you have 62 regular season, but they had like the shortest playoffs. Like NHL, it's 7 game series all the way through. NBA, it's 7 game series all the way through. I guess the play-in tournament. Baseball, it's like nah, we're gonna have like a 3 game series, a 5 game series, and like two 7 game series. It's like the WNBA. I mean, it's just like they have. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense. But you're right. It does like make it a lot more palatable as a sport because like it's much more condensed. But no, I think you're absolutely right. Kind of nailed it on the head with like the attention spans and like baseball because I think baseball like you're supposed to see it in person, right? Like it's like the national pastime. That's always what it was
Great
meant to
sports
be.
first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's awesome. But it's fun to watch in person. And even like baseball fans will admit to this, like you don't like pay attention to the game that much. Like it's more of like again like an event. You're just like you go there, you grab a beer, like you just kind of like chill. You're not like no one there's like super engaged into the game. So like
Absolutely.
you have a game that is much more suited in person, trying to like adapt to now, like you said, is shorter attention spans. Like there's just so many more things to like garner to take your attention, right? I mean,
I think an underrated component too of the baseball experience going to a game just on your own is that just being in a ballpark and just the essence of ballparks in general. It's the only sport I can think of in like the broader American sport context that each place has their unique feel, even like just the way the dimensions are laid out. Every field is unique.
yeah, it's cool.
Every experience is unique. Like every other sport is standardized, has a standardized pitch. This sport, though, on the other hand, you never know. Like the thing is with football, sometimes you'll have stadiums where the crowd is right there next to the sidelines. Like that's like I know Arrowhead and KC they have something like that. I'm
Hmm.
pretty sure their crowd is really close to the field. Here, it's like you have. I mean, the Astros like before a few years ago, they had that giant hill out in center field. Just this random anomaly out there. You have the Green Monster. You have Yankee Stadium's like 100-foot
Yeah,
porch, like
no, yeah,
it's just,
it's BS.
it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like these ballparks have true home field advantages depending on what team you're catering your like club towards, and oftentimes like Colorado, they don't even care about pitching at all because they know that whatever good pitcher they're going to bring in,
Yeah,
they're going to get tattered in the
yeah,
altitude pitching that 81 games a year. So it's I like that feel of it. It's almost like every place has their own unique flair to it. Like watching a Phillies World Series game. I mean, we already know how Philly fans are, being as avid as sports fans as we are.
yeah.
Like this place was jumping 2 nights ago when they hit like what 4 or 5 home runs in that game. Like, that place was a madhouse. And then when Bryce Harper hit that home run against San Diego, I didn't watch that game for the record, but I saw the highlight, and that just seemed like you had to be there kind of moment.
Yeah,
How incredible an experience that was. So
yeah.
yeah, man, baseball definitely has its perks, and something that when you can condense it for the average sports fan who's not into baseball as much into this short setting, it makes it very exciting to watch. And we only got 3 games left to see what happens. And at the end of the week, we'll be all done with this, and then the season will come around. Spring training will be in like February. There's not much turnaround time between baseball seasons.
There
So
isn't, but the thing is, like, I think the baseball's off season is probably the worst out of the major sports. Like, the
I agree.
draft absolutely sucks because you don't see the prospects for like 4, 5, 6 years, or they're probably gonna get traded. And then like spring, I guess for spring training, but like I don't know, it's like an elongated preseason. Like no one gives a shit about that. Um, yeah, it's cool though. The unique parks is very cool. Like going to Wrigley, like kind of seeing the iconic stadiums. You had the ivy kind of growing on the outfield. It's pretty
Yeah, you
cool.
feel like you feel like you're in a sanctuary from a sports perspective. It's just like something that's like untouched by just the evolvement of the modern world around you. It's like you're in this place that just feels so unique and isolated from everything else
Yeah,
around it.
yeah, it definitely
You
seems
don't
like
have
yeah, isolated in time a little bit for sure. No, I think I remember. I think the Orioles changed like the Camden Yards like left field fence. They like moved it back or something, and they were
what they
attributing
did.
that to like like why the Orioles like were doing so well like this year because like they were just like giving up so many home runs at home.
Yeah,
And like
interesting.
yeah, they changed the dimensions and then they were finally like this is like the first year in like I want to say like 5 or 6 years that they were like a plus like home run differential at home. Now they are obviously much better this year regardless of the stadium, but it's just kind of funny. They're kind of like unique quirks of each like baseball stadium. But
Yeah, bringing it real back just for us being Twins fans ourselves. Found this pretty interesting stat. I know our guy Aaron Gleeman. He's like a very well-known Twins
yeah,
beat
yeah,
writer in the
we
baseball
like
world.
Lehman. He's a good guy.
Yeah, yeah. Basically, the Yankees' playoff record in the last 20 years. This was tweeted last year, but accounting for how they finished 3-6 in this year's postseason,
Yeah.
we can extrapolate those stats a bit. Versus every other team in the last 20 years in the playoffs, they're 46-64, which is under. It's pretty close to 400 winning percentage. Against the Twins, they're 16-2.
Yeah,
And that's
I saw that tweet and he kept on like updating the tweet and it got worse and worse because the Yankees
yeah.
got swept. So it was just yeah. Yeah, it's honestly it's probably like the craziest ongoing stat right now in like professional sports.
It very well might be. Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say maybe the Niners and the Rams recently, but then the Niners winning like 8 in a row against them, but then they lose the one important game last year in the NFC title game. Like, that's pretty interesting. Like a more like I guess well-known baseball. I mean, Yankees Twins. Like I mean, the Yankees obviously the biggest team in baseball, but Twins. No one cares about the Twins in
Not
the
17
National
games
League.
in a row though. They're not that much bigger. And like it's such a like a I mean you were saying earlier like there's so much like variability in baseball. Probably more so than any other sport than like hockey maybe just because of like
Yeah,
pucks and
yeah.
goalies and stuff, but to not win one, yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing. But
It makes it's incredible, genuinely. Mariners winning a World Series game. I mean, not a World Series, a playoff
yeah,
game.
they won a
I felt good.
series.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Felt happy.
You had a prediction for the World Series?
Considering we're 5 games in now, I mean, it'd be a little bit of cheating to say that I think the Astros will win in 7, but honestly, I think the Astros will win the next 2. Counting this one, tonight's game that we're watching as we speak. I went tomorrow night, or not tomorrow night, probably Saturday night. 'Cause Houston's number 2, Valdez. That guy's really good. I think he's. I know he throws a lot of cutters. He's a lefty. He's a lefty who throws a lot of cutters, gets a lot of ground balls. But I think in game 2 he struck out at least 6 or 7 guys. So he was making a miss too. You would combine that with already a ground ball template. The thing with the Phillies, though, you can't rule them out ever because they're such a slugging team. Like, they have so many sluggers,
Yep.
top heavy lineup. Even their bottom of the lineup's pretty solid, but at least this postseason, everyone's had to be solid for them to make this run. But I think Astros in 6, man. I'm not rooting for it, of course. I mean, we all know why Houston is just not likable. I mean, I used to like Houston 5 years ago when they played the Dodgers in the World Series. I was rooting for them then.
Yeah.
But
Well, they were
things have
the up and coming team, right? I mean, they were horrible for like however long. They kind of rebuilt through the draft. You know, Correa, Altuve, Bregman. Go down the
yeah,
list. Was Brantley on that World Series team, or is that later?
I think he came later. He was on last year's team for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe he was on that team that lost to the Nats in 2019. He might have been. That guy's just a class hitter. He's just a great contact hitter.
Yep.
But they've just always been great teams, man. I mean, they traded for Mancini, who's been good for them. I think. I can't pretend to say I've watched the Astros a ton, but I know he's a big trade deadline acquisition. Traded for Boston's catcher. I think him and Maldonado are kind of alternating, but just have a loaded team, man. Getting in this rookie Pena just to immediately replace Correa and not replicate that production, but man, has he just been as clutch as
Insane.
Correa.
Like I mean, Correa was he third in MVP voting last year or something?
He was up there.
And he had a career year, and like you more or less replaced his production. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
they're a machine, like you said. I mean, they've made what 4 straight conference series or
Trying
5
to
straight?
think. No,
It's a crazy number.
it's 4 of 6 at least. It's at least 4 of 6 because the Rays made it that one year when they played all the games in Texas and the Dodgers beat them in the World Series like 2 years ago.
Yeah, but they played Houston in the conference
Oh, we're
finals.
talking about ALCS.
Yeah, yeah,
ALCS,
yeah, yeah.
yes. Yes, ALCS, it's definitely at least 4,
Yeah.
maybe 6. Yep, that's
Yeah, that's
correct.
nuts.
It's insane. Yeah, they're just can't do anything about it. Verlander's on the mound right now, bottom 5, nobody out. It's the middle of the Phillies order, though. We got Hoskins, Realmuto, and Harper coming up. It's probably going to be their best chance against Verlander to get something off of him before they turn it over to this bullpen. Haven't kept up again with the Astros much this year, but John Smoltz was waxing poetic about how good this bullpen was. A lot of flamethrowers out of there. Former twin Ryan Presley holding down the fort at the end. So, pretty incredible they pitched a no-hitter, man. That's insane. To pitch one in the World Series.
What prospect did we get for Presley? I forget. Do you remember?
Oh, dude, I
Oh, was it? It might have been actually Celestino.
some trade that was, huh?
Yeah, it
Let's find,
hasn't aged
let's
well.
find out.
Like a lot of Twins moves, unfortunately.
Okay, yeah, dude. Celestino was part of the deal. It was him and Jorge Alcala. He's the
Yeah.
reliever. We have him on the
He pitched this year. He was okay, right? He got hurt or
He's a
something.
flame. I've heard he's a flamethrower. I watched a little bit of him. He just hurt a lot of this year.
I mean, he's great value Duran though at this point, right?
Pretty much, dude. It's pretty insane. I mean, I remember when we had Adderall a couple years ago. He was supposed to be that guy who we thought, man, he's gonna be the next like great Twins reliever. And we packaged him in that Kenta Maeda 3-team deal with Mookie Betts. I'm just like thinking to myself, okay, what are we gonna never do about this organizational philosophy of pitch to contact and not getting a guy who can actually blow fastballs behind your bats?
To be fair, Maeda was like very, very good that first year.
Oh, it was incredible. I think he finished second in Cy Young.
Yeah, he's second in Cy Young.
It definitely worked out. It worked out. He should come back this year. Hopefully beef up our rotation a bit. Yeah, man. I mean, the way it worked out getting Duran is really good. I definitely think, though, that I don't know how much money we're going to have left after Correa opts out and probably doesn't re-sign with us. We should try to get a top-tier starter, though.
I can't believe we're having so much Twins talk, but I haven't heard like a lot of buzz about whether he's going to be resigning or not. Because I feel like leading up to free agency, there's a lot of like, oh, I like the organization here, like I like the culture here. I'm like cool to like be a part of like a growing team or whatever. But I haven't heard anything since he actually opted out. The other thing is like it's kind of awkward because Lewis, right, our number one. I mean, he never stays healthy, but he was really good when he was up. Like he could play short. The guy we drafted last year, Cal Poly guy, he's a shortstop prospect, and I guess he ripped up the minor leagues. So we do have like fallbacks, I guess. So it's
we do,
yeah,
definitely do. I think the thing with Royce is that we were playing him out in center. I mean, he got hurt when he played out in center. I think after that injury, I was out for most of next year. I think too with this was it ACL. I think is what it was. Second ACL tear too. Just feel for the kid. He's like basically our age, and he's already gone through 2 of those. He's only played like 30 games in his career. Really sad. That's the thing though, dude. It's like, do we think about going back to like an Andrelton Simmons-esque like stopgap option? Because we saw that didn't really work a couple years ago.
Could play it, right? If he's like big, if he's healthy, but like, I mean,
that's the thing.
You still Polanco too. You can shift over again if you really had to.
He's gonna lead the league in errors again. Oh, that'd be beautiful.
Miranda's going to the third, right?
Polanco, maybe a Rise back at second full time for a bit until Royce comes back.
I mean, Rise was fine. Sano, our boy Sano, probably gone. Hopefully gone. Yeah, I don't know. I'm actually like honestly like weirdly optimistic of the Twins next year. Like the rotation looks pretty good. Joe Ryan, Maeda's back. Sonny Gray, the guy from Molly from the Reds, like he's legit. They don't
need one more top. Need one more top. We gotta sign a guy this offseason, man. Maybe Rodon from San Fran. That could be a nice option.
But yeah, we don't have like a true A, so we do. It seems like we have a lot of like 2 and 3-ish kind of guys. So
we kind of always had that as 2 is the thing. Like, even Berrios at his peak, like he'd be a really good number 2. I think kind of good. Like he's great. I love Berrios when he was here. But
no, you're right. You're right.
He just had those stretches where he would just get tattered for like several weeks, and then he'd really hit a hot stretch and kind of make up for that. So yeah, I love the guy, but I mean, Irvin Santana was like also like a great number 2-esque starter who ended up being a good one for us.
More with 3. I don't know. Like the Twins, I wouldn't say they have a lot of like 2 guys or 3 guys. I think it's more like they have one like 2 guy, and then they have like a bunch of like 4s. Like they
Yeah,
don't. I don't
I
know.
agree.
I guess you're right. So Irv, Barrios. I guess Odorizzi was kind of a two. You know, that one really good year.
Fuck, I forgot. I mean, this is going way back in time, but that year that Carl Pavano was insane, like
Oh my
12 years
God.
ago.
Yeah.
That guy was incredible that year. I don't know who our other guy was. I can't remember. Might have been Liriano, but I don't think Liriano. I think it was Liriano actually. He was.
Probably some, ex-Yankee who's like 35 that oh, we can get him back on track. His injuries aren't as bad as you think they are. It's like,
Speaking of ex-Yankees, I think Phil Hughes had a great year for us one year. I forgot which year that was.
yeah.
It was in the middle of the doldrum days, but he was really good one year for us.
Great year is in like 3.5 ERA or like actually good.
I think he was. I think he was better than that. I'm gonna look it up
Yeah,
now,
Phil
man.
Hughes. That was a nightmare rotation. It was like Gibson, Hughes. I guess Baker was probably gone by then.
Okay, I
God,
guess
we've
he
had
had.
horrible starting pitching, haven't we?
Yeah, dude, 3.5. Honestly, that's actually what it was. That's actually not incredible, but
Damn.
209 pitch, not terrible. 16-10 is not the best record, but he finished seventh in Cy Young voting that year. The Twins pitcher will
Okay.
take it. I guess. Silver lining. I
Yeah.
mean, that was like when we were down horrendous those years, like those early
Yeah.
target field years after the first year. We were really bad for like 6 years.
Yep.
So
Yeah, with the AAA team coming up. Chris Parmalee, my
Chris
favorite
Parma,
Twins.
I just thought about that name right as you said it. Incredible. What's his name? Chris Colabello. Names
Oh
like that. You can
God,
just pull him
cowbell.
out of
Yep.
pull him
Yeah.
out of a hat.
We had Danny Valencia post prime. Yeah, we don't need to go through that horror squad. But yeah,
My favorite, just was his name, Darren Mastriani.
was he like
That
one
guy,
season?
he might have been one season, dude, but that was a memorable season for me, bro.
Didn't make it
It's in
anywhere
my
else.
dreams. He was in my dreams, man. Speaking of big World Series, though, Bryce Harper just hit a 2-out double. Castellanos is up. Well, he's got a 2-0 count right now. Still down one. It looks like it's jumping. Real quick, switching topics for a second to the other Philly Houston matchup tonight, though. Eagles did not score in that last first half drive. It's still 14-14. Third quarter. Eagles punted on their first drive of the half, too. Hurts got sacked twice on the drive. What's wrong with that O-line tonight? It's really weird. I
What's
kinda wanna
Houston?
watch
Are
it.
they like 2-5 or something?
They're 1-5-1. Remember, they
Yeah, they do.
tied week one against the Colts. Yeah.
That's right.
It's a shit show of a division. AFC South is just terrible every year. Not
Yeah, it
even
really
terrible.
is. It was like the NFC
Uninspired.
East, but and East finally got its act together.
Yeah, now they've shifted it to the South. They've given off their plague to the South. But yeah, man, it's definitely kind of weird and coincidental that there's the two cities having both games going on at the same time. It's very.
That is pretty weird. I wonder like how many like fans are actually watching the football game though, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, I mean, now that the Eagles aren't destroying the Texans like everyone thought, maybe they're tuning in more now. But
Maybe. I bet Amazon's pissed. They're just like out of all the World Series matchups, like I can't this is gonna like destroy our ratings. That's pretty funny.
and the thing is, it was supposed to be today was supposed to be the off day between 5 and 6, but then Game 3 got postponed to push this game back into
Oh,
Thursday. That's where
damn.
we have this conflict right here.
Bezos
Yeah,
molding right now. Yes.
he is. In retribution for that, he's gonna buy the Washington Commanders. It looks like
Are you
he's interested.
serious? Is that actual
Apparently, the rumors are, Griff, is that he's interested. There was rumors that it could be him, and another possible owner of interest could be Jay-Z. Hova might get into the Commanders, man. That would be interesting.
I guess Jay-Z does have the money, doesn't he?
He definitely does. He already owns part of the Nets.
Yeah, that's true. God damn. I wouldn't wish that on DC even for Bezos to own your football team. He seems like the worst owner. Like not relatable at all. Doesn't know anything about the sport. Like all the players just hate him. Like oh god, he'd be such a scapegoat.
The thing is, though, he would not probably, he would definitely, in the eyes of DMVers, be an upgrade to Dan Snyder because of how bad that guy has been.
Yeah.
For 20 good years, he has literally pushed fans away from this team. Like, that's how bad it's gotten to where you go on message boards for the Commanders yesterday after they broke the news of Snyder thinking about selling. Everyone's treating it as if they just had their firstborn child or something. It's just manna from heaven. Oh, Castellanos? Oh, he pulled a 2-2 pitch, but just foul. Just foul.
I can't believe you're cheering for the Phillies, big. I know Houston and the whole cheating
Oh,
thing,
I
but I
hate it.
just all
I
all,
hate. I
all
hate.
Philly teams I just despise.
I do too, Griff. That's the thing. I do
Yeah.
too. The thing is also though, when the playoffs began in the very beginning, I was rooting for the Phillies against the Cardinals because
Yeah,
let's face it,
true.
who likes the Cardinals either? Screw
Yeah,
the Cardinals. Then I was rooting for the Padres against the Phillies, to be honest with you.
yeah,
The NL
they're my
series.
team. I was actually following that series pretty closely, but I couldn't get it done.
Yeah, man. So I mean, when it comes to the lesser of two evils, I mean, screw the Astros. Like, what have they? They've been here. Plus, not to mention what they did. They've been here like 4 times in the last 6 years. We've seen enough of them. Like,
They have lost
some of
though,
the
like every time besides that inaugural visit. So I don't know. I
NL.
I have a weird soft spot for the Astros. I think just because I like their colors a lot, and I like Altuve and
Cool.
yeah.
Oh, them switching to orange was a very good thing. I kind of do wish they're still in the NL though. I
Wait, what
miss
were they
when the NL.
before? I thought they had like the sunset jerseys or whatever.
They had it was like an ugly red brown shade with like black and maybe gold interspersed with that. It's like the Roy. It's what I think about when I think of like the Roy Oswald teams, the Craig Biggio,
Oh,
Lance
okay.
Berkman. They had different color shade back then. When they were really bad, middle of their tank, they switched to these uniforms. Basically, after they switched to the AL from the NL, they kind of came up with this scheme, and it looks really good. I do agree with you.
Okay, I'm
Take
I'm,
on
I'm
that.
gonna pull them up. Craig Biggio, Astros jersey.
Dude, Castellanos is at like a 10 pitch at bat right now. This is very impressive. Verlander's at 93 pitches already. Wow.
Oh,
You seen him?
these?
Here, let me
I
see.
guess you can't even see what I'm showing.
You look up Astros 2005 uniform when they went to the World Series that year. These are what I think of when I think of the Astros. Just because that was the first year I. Oh,
Oh,
Castellanos
yeah,
though.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
Castellanos flied out to left, spirited at bat
good.
was not enough.
I do like Castellanos though. Any former Tiger, I'm just honestly a fan of, to be honest.
Yeah, CJ Crone, he's a former Tiger
Oh
now.
yeah, absolutely, dude. Chrome was awesome when
Former
he was here. Underrated. I was kind of sad when he left, and we haven't honestly been able to replace him.
It's true, dude.
Sano's been
It's true.
horrible.
All right, time to switch to the Eagles game. I'm gonna switch gears to football a bit.
No,
Great
Vig, it's
baseball.
time to switch to the Kyrie news.
Oh, we gotta talk about the suspension today, don't we? Just that in general, huh?
We do. We do. It is the
Last-
most noteworthy thing today, probably, besides the World Series. So, suspended for 5 games, at least, by the Nets. You earlier, you put out the idea of potentially a D'Angelo Russell trade involving the man.
Get him out of town. Get D'Lo out of town. I'm sick of it, man.
So maybe we're jumping
I'm
the
sick of
gun for the Wolves talk. Yeah. So are you actually in favor of that? Like, would you do just Kyrie for D'Lo straight up?
Oh, I absolutely would. I mean, I know it comes with all the baggage. Like, this is baggage unlike few other superstars I could think of in terms of just what all has happened with this man over the last 6 years, probably. I don't think he was this clinically insane when he was in Cleveland. It all began that summer, I think it was before 2017, when all of a sudden he just wanted out, and everyone was shocked. Like, what? Why would he want out or whatever? He surely didn't want to leave the great LeBron James. But then, and then I saw. I mean, I was also clouded by seeing the rumor that of the 4 teams he'd want to be traded to, our Timberwolves were included in that discussion.
Yeah.
Presumably, A. Wiggins on the table. We didn't do it then.
No, that was
I
our
mean,
chance. Though
but I'm just
honestly,
saying,
I do wonder how that would. That could have turned out even worse somehow.
I will say
But
though,
it
dude.
was, hey man, that was like the first like national like reporting that like the Wolves were involved in for the first time. It's so long. It was just exciting for us to be like mentioned. That was exciting. There was so much like Wiggins for Irving like buzz going on. It was pretty
It's
fun.
just yeah, man. It's just funny. It's just the Timberwolves have just been also rans for basically their entire existence, except for like 3 prime KG years. Even those first 5 years, not that we watched, but we leave in the first round, exit the first round every year. It was just kind of
Yeah.
we're kind of like what's like the equivalent of that in this year's era, like the Pacers over the last like 6 years, like make it to the playoffs, just get clapped in the first round.
Pacers. I
So we
mean,
didn't.
it was the Capitals. I feel like for a while, for they won their third
Cross
ship.
sport, yeah, definitely cross sport wise, yeah. And so now just kind of bringing it back to 2022, I just I don't know if I can't think of a better pair of bigs that Kyrie has played with before than presumably if such a deal were to occur.
Dude, I don't.
We're speaking hypotheticals here, like a PNR with Kyrie and Gobert. Gobert just setting the filthiest screens. Kyrie deciding. I
Is
think
Kyrie
Kyrie's
even a
basically
good passer? Like, what are we even talking about here, man? I thought he's a black hole. Am I
Kyrie can get it.
wrong? What's his assist percentage?
Find out. I don't think it's high, but neither is D'Lo's though. I don't
I
think
mean,
this year at
I
least.
could be wrong.
But yeah, I mean, it just comes to it just comes down to, in my opinion, the way D'Lo plays and the mid-range shots that teams basically give him because they're selling out for Gobert, and rightfully so. Gobert's a beast rolling to the basket. He's just not consistent enough with that shot. I know he's a very streaky shooter, but he shouldn't be this bad. I don't think. I know it's only been 8 games. This happened for 6 games in the biggest 6 games we've played in this franchise's history in the last 6 years. He showed up then, hasn't really left. It's a contract year for him. You would think he'd play with a sense of purpose. Watching that Suns game, the amount of times he got cooked on defense. Now to be fair, I didn't watch the fourth quarter at all, but I ended up
Well,
just watching the highlights.
we got piped, during that anyway, so I don't think that would have
It's
hindered
just
the argument.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. I don't want to make this enough about the Wolves. I mean, we've talked enough about it. I brought up to Griff earlier. Possibly just plugging this in a trade machine. D'Lo's making 31 mil right now. Kyrie's contract's currently at 36 something. Thought about throwing in maybe a Nas Reed, a guy who could start on another team, deserves a better opportunity somewhere else. Maybe a Wendell Moore guy. Combine those two contracts, you basically get to like that 36, around 35 for the salaries. You can't do draft picks on this trade machine thing, unfortunately. But I'm thinking maybe the Nets throw in a pick too, just to
I think that's what
get
have to throw
Kyrie.
in a pick, to be honest, because like I don't know if any team in the league would trade for Kyrie right now. To be honest, he's just so toxic.
Besides
He's
LA, yeah. Besides LA, they're the
yeah,
only team.
true. LA would not care when you're down that bad. But I mean, he's played less than half his games over his last like 300 games. I don't know. His assist percentage is 25% right now, worst of his career. Last year it was. Oh, sorry, it's 23% this year. 25% last year, worst of his career. D'Lo's sitting at 27 right now, but it was 33 last year. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'd do it big. I think if the Nets would have to give up like I think a first, like
I think
Kyrie
so
and a
too.
first for like.
I think so too.
But
Yeah.
I wouldn't even do Kyrie and a first for D'Lo and like Nas. Honestly, I don't think I would.
I think Kyrie's taking his stock now if this were to happen anyway, so you're right, that could probably
Yeah.
help our cause. I guess I'm just thinking about with the assists on like a team like us. I don't know who else besides Durant he feels capable willing to pass it to either. In the sense of just how the Nets play. They play so much ISO ball to where they don't even have sets to begin with. I feel like the Wolves and Finch, who's actually a competent coach, would actually run competent sets to free up shooters in the corners to potentially have Kyrie
I don't
have the
know.
opportunity to pass the ball.
I don't know. Like ball movement's already an issue on this team. You know what I mean?
It is. It
So
is.
like, is
I agree.
Kyrie's not gonna help that. Like he's just another mouth to feed. I just don't see the fit. He's not good defensively either, which is what you really want. You'd want someone who's like low usage, good defender, good passer, like a better defending Tyus Jones maybe.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, dude, J-Mac's perfect. I mean, I was saying to you the other day, if he
yeah,
was a few inches taller, potentially he'd be the perfect starting point guard for us. He's
yeah.
just too small right now. I mean, not right now. He just is too small. I think the thing with, I guess viewing the Kyrie thing from afar, I guess I'm just viewing it as like a strictly a D'Lo upgrade. Like he would do what D'Lo does significantly better than he does in terms of his actual shot creation
Yeah,
and
no, that's
whatnot.
true. I mean, now he's just a way better shooter. But the other thing is, D'Lo's gone after this year. Like, if he's bad, we get rid of him. You know,
Same with Kyrie. That's the beauty
is
of it.
he? Oh, you're right. Yeah, he's expiring too.
Yeah, that's the thing of it.
It is
Like,
more tempting, actually. I still wouldn't do it. Like,
I
this
mean,
team
dude,
is enough of a mess right now. I don't think we need any more. Throwing
that's the
any
thing.
gasoline on the fire.
That's why I'm not trying to seriously entertain it, just because I don't think the toxicity would work with all those guys, and we're already trying to figure stuff out with a brand new team. And
Yeah.
then throwing in another alpha who definitely, in more ways than one, is an alpha, bro. Don't get it twisted.
Can you see Kyrie like really getting Cat out of like in on some of his like conspiracy theories too? Like Cat's like, this like black Israelite stuff's like, it's actually pretty compelling when you like take a deeper look at it. It's like, oh God, oh God.
The thing about it, I'm also worried about Ant in such a scenario because Ant is so young and
Yeah,
impressionable. Like
Ant.
Kyrie could brainwash him kind of easily. I feel like if such a thing were to happen, which makes it kind of scary, but also just very tantalizing from a pure entertainment standpoint. It'd be very toxic, but it'd be very entertaining. So,
Absolutely. Oh, if it was just like if I didn't care about the Wolves at all, I would totally do it. Just for entertainment. From like a outside perspective, it'd be pretty awesome. And Deal going back to like Brooklyn's a pretty good like feel good story as well. Um,
yeah, yeah. There is this Twitter account that I follow that a couple hours ago tweeted this funny picture here. I'm just gonna show it to you quick. There's a screen cap.
wait,
That's Cat.
oh that's
That's Cat
Cat.
in a Nets jersey. KD in a Wolves jersey. Make it happen.
Uh,
Make it happen. What's his name? Tim Connolly. Make it happen.
yeah, we were reportedly in on the Durant stuff, which take it for what
Oh
you
man.
will. I mean, I guess every team was though, to be fair. But we can talk about a little bit more about Kyrie specifically.
Yeah, the actual relevant talk about it. Just
Yeah. Um, do you think he's going to be back after 5? Or you think they're just going to keep him out for longer? Because the problem with Kyrie is like he never knows when to shut his mouth. I could
it's not
really
going to
see
go.
him tweeting something or saying something to like media. Like, I mean, he hasn't come out. I mean, the reason he got suspended, right? Because he didn't like actually apologize. He was just like, I don't know. He was pretty much just saying how like he felt like bad that people were offended, um, and that he supports like all different points of views and things, but he didn't actually explicitly apologize for what he did. And then he might have doubled down on it too. But
Oh yeah, he said something along the lines. I don't want to misquote what he said. Not that what he said holds much truth, but um, yeah, because basically what the league and the Nets were hoping for was something along the lines of him saying, "I'm sorry," or "I don't have anti-Semitic beliefs." He didn't necessarily double down on what he said, but he definitely wasn't showing any remorse or just better judgment for it. From not even, let alone what he believes in private. Trying to make it so public and just not even try to save face, not for the sake of himself, but for the sake of the franchise too. It puts everybody in a bind, man, and it just showcases the lack of. He's just not a selfless guy whatsoever. He's in his own bubble. He is the Yay of the NBA. I mean, the amount, dude, Ye owes this guy a lot right now for the last week of how much attention Kyrie has taken off of the whole Kanye thing that's been going on for 2 weeks. Very similar situations in terms of their beliefs that they're purporting too, which is
facts.
interesting.
Isn't it wild how like that came up like simultaneously? And maybe it was maybe it's not a purely a coincidence, but like this Black Israelite shit, like Kyrie and Kanye both like speaking out about this stuff. Like,
Yeah, that's the thing, Griff. It's like if I knew enough about it, I would talk more about it. But yeah, just knowing that these two prominent figures are taking hold of beliefs that on its face are just not like they're not accurate. They've been debunked in this sense. And two, it's just in an NBA setting, like you are playing for an organization, you are upholding the shield per se. Like you are just somebody who's supposed to just not just play basketball. I mean, obviously you want to be an influence in your community and whatnot. This isn't really influencing anybody. I feel like besides Kyrie, he's self-serving for his beliefs is what I feel. It's just there's no. It just seems very selfish to me. And everything that Kyrie's done, I would say, for the most part, the last several years has been predicated upon this. So it's nothing different. Oh wow, Texans had a big play here. By the way, Eagles scored a touchdown.
I
Sorry, just
I
give
think
you
to
the update.
him, I think he thinks he's like speaking truth to power, that like, this is like what no one will say, and I have the platform to do it. And like I mean Kanye's I think pretty clearly has some sort of mental thing going on. But it's that kind of same like mentality, right? Where it's um if I speak out about it, then like I get silenced, but that's when that I'm actually like saying something, worth saying. Um But I don't know. I mean, like the Black Israel stuff that I saw, like I think the extremist stuff, I guess the extremist sect of it was more like anti-Semitic and misogynistic, go down the line. Um, but I think like mainline beliefs is just, blacks were descendant like of Jews and I don't know, seem pretty inoffensive, pretty straightforward. So I can see like where Kyrie thinks it's like, oh, this is like, this is
I agree.
fine. Like
I agree.
but
I think it's been overblown to an extent of where this critique is coming from, as opposed to like at least just like maybe getting a better scope of like doing a little bit of research on what Kyrie's talking about. Not saying Kyrie's correct. I'm just saying that the actual perspective that's come out of it has just come out very like reduced to like he's simply anti-Semitic, which to an extent though him like promoting these beliefs. The Alex Jones stuff is another messed up thing too. Like we can't forget about that either. Like both of
yeah.
those combined, it just remove all credibility that Kyrie has with like whatever goodwill he has about wanting to promote these beliefs, these new like not anti-Semitic, these new Black Israelite beliefs. Basically, I found the quote what he said. He basically said, "quote I can't be anti-Semitic if I know where I come from."
Didn't I kind of said the exact same thing. Like I can't be anti-Semitic because blacks are descended from Jews, so I'm
It's
Jewish.
just empty. It's just vapid. There's just
Well,
nothing to that.
that's not even true. Like you could be black, and be racist against black people, and like white racist against white people. Like that doesn't even make sense. Like of course you can be. Like regardless of the fact that yeah, depending on what he said, it might well be anti-Semitic. I mean he quoted like something from like an anti-Semitic like movie, correct?
Yeah, he basically, I think, as far as I know, again, I haven't done much research on the actual like what he did specifically besides posting whatever he posted. Yeah, I think he shared it on Twitter. I think Twitter was the medium
Yeah,
for this specific share.
I think it
But
was a quote. Yeah, I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure even the quote itself wasn't necessarily anti-Semitic, but it was just like the larger piece had some like pretty uh
it's yeah, it's not up to Kyrie to determine what's anti-Semitic if he's not the one being offended by it and like feeling what's being talked about. Like he can't pass judgment on that.
well,
That's not somebody who is, in my opinion. That's how I feel.
I mean,
Like
I think you can be offended by something, but still be wrong. Like, you know what I mean? Like I could be offended by like if you call me white and I'm offended by that doesn't mean like necessarily you call me a white's like a bad thing. Um, but yeah, I think like you like you said, Vic, when you're like trying to like represent a league and you're in like you're a larger kind of than life figure, you do have kind of more responsibility to take extra care about what you say and what you tweet out. Um,
he's been that for 5 years, for several years. He's just not
yeah,
shown any of that.
that's honestly the biggest thing. Like if Kyrie had like a perfect track record up to this point, I think it'd be like, okay, like you can give him the benefit of the doubt. Um, but just like the flat earth stuff, anti-vax stuff, it's not a lot to base off of. Um,
Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing about him missing games last year that you were mentioning. It's like he didn't miss those games because of injury. He missed those games because he was so rooted in his beliefs. Sorry, my camera. He's so rooted in his beliefs that
there
he
we go.
stood up for what he believed in that sense. And then what he believes in this case is just it's not conducive to the environment as a professional athlete on a team. That is what they don't need that. Nobody needs that. That considering the standing he has. So anyway, just to move on from the social aspects and ramifications of what Kyrie said,
Yeah.
just on an on-court basis, that team is already in shambles as is. I mean, watching most of the fourth quarter of that Bulls game, they just looked disheveled, just no spark. I mean, even you would think with a new coach they maybe have a bit of a bump in performance.
Ume, Ume's come in. He's like, listen, boys.
And yes, no, I was thinking about Jock Vaughn, honestly, but now, yeah, the Ime Udoka stuff, that's just another thing to throw into that shitstorm.
It was
I don't get it.
unbelievable. It was such like a gut punch. It was like Nash shot fire, which like I think everyone kind of like saw coming. Then like the whole Kyrie
Oh,
stuff comes out. And you're like, okay, like Kyrie is like kind of like crazy or whatever, but like which isn't good. But it's like he was gonna miss time anyway. But that's like they like they do this like turnaround and like what was it was like wasn't it like 2 hours later they're like Umi Aduka like expected to be announced like head coach. It was like what
yeah,
like
Ime was announced literally like 2 hours later, and it's funny because Ime Udoka was the assistant coach for the Nets before he joined the Celtics, so he does know that team a little bit. Which, but still, just that doesn't change what just happened with Ime Udoka like a month and a half, 2 months ago with what came out. That doesn't just go away. That can't
No, it
just
doesn't
go
go
away.
away. Did the Celtics like actually like? Do we actually know like why he got suspended? I know it was like rumor because he had some sort of interaction with like a female staffer that was like inappropriate. Sound like a kind of a Gerson and Roses kind of move.
I
But
think it was
like,
inappropriate in multiple ways. It was inappropriate in multiple ways, I think, Griff, because it was
okay,
also not to mention the power dynamic between a staffer and coach. It was also there was apparently Ime Udoka made crude remarks about her on multiple occasions, not just a
mm,
one-time thing throughout the course of their extramarital relationship. And I think the thing is that she was like, not to speculate. I don't want to. I don't know for sure what she was on the team. Her role on the team was. I think she was like a travel planner, staffer, or something of that sort. And there was a rumor that she would like plan out like when Ime Udoka's girlfriend, who was the famous actress Nia Long,
yeah.
would like when they go on vacation and stuff. She was like involved in like planning their affairs out and whatnot throughout the course of
Oh
the last
god,
year, which just makes it from a gossip standpoint very very interesting. I don't know what the hell's going on over there, and
yeah,
it's so funny because I trust Brad Stevens to run a tight ship there. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know how he's GM in general as like terms of disposition, but he's done a good job so far. Made some good trades. Bringing in Brogdon's going to be huge, I think, for them, provided he stays healthy, of
Yeah,
course.
I think. I
But
mean, at least I've only seen their game against the Phillies. They're not the Phillies, the Sixers.
Sixers,
The first game, but he was awesome in that. I know he's like a six
yeah.
man of the year kind of favorite going
And
into the year.
bringing Horford back in, that was shrewd. Also,
Yeah,
bringing in Tice at the trade deadline, bringing in Derek White in the trade deadline. Those are good moves.
yeah,
Huge.
yeah.
So you would think that with that stability combined with the ownership that's been there for a while, that, I mean, something like this just wouldn't. I mean, they acted the way they should have. I think what sometimes gets, even in my head, lost in translation is that it's not the NBA that suspended Ime. It was the Celtics that suspended him, which makes him ripe for the picking if any team wanted him. And in this case, the Nets acted.
It's just
So,
such bad optics. I can't believe they would, like you said, like they had Vaughn just waiting there, who's like I think the Pelicans almost hired him. Like,
used to be the Magic. Used to be the Magic head coach 5 years ago. Yeah,
oh, he was okay. I actually know that. Yeah, but when the Pelicans were, they hired Willie Green, but I think he was second. So it's like you have a very capable candidate right there. Like you're already taking all this flack for like Ben Simmons like not looking great, and like obviously like the whole Durant thing over this summer. Like Nash gets fired, who's like I think still like pretty widely respected and like liked around the league. So like,
could
that's
be.
not a
Yeah,
great look. The Kyrie comments. Then it's like, how can this get any worse? Yeah, let's hire like I just it's just like from a PR standpoint, whoever's working that like this must be like melting down. Like
I
I
don't get
can't
how
think of a
Sean.
worse optics.
I don't get how Sean Marks' head isn't rolling yet in terms of just how he's still running this ship. And the
Yeah.
thing is that I want to analogize this to from a Timberwolves perspective, being the Timberwolves fans that we are. It's very similar to how Gerson canned Saunders and immediately had Chris Finch picked out as the candidate to be their head coach, where immediately afterward they immediately announced it. No search, no nothing.
Yeah.
In this case, Jock Vaughn's the David Vanterpool of the scenario, I feel like. Where if you have a capable in-house candidate there who you would think it could be an option, why not? And then they immediately go forth. Now, obviously, Chris Finch was much less well known than Ime Udoka and had no baggage, but to us, it was just like I don't know who this is, and like it was obviously controversy. Dame Lillard was pushing this about how
Yeah.
it wasn't fair that he got that
Yep.
shot, and David Vanterpool didn't. And in this case, that doesn't quite apply, of course. But in terms of just how they already had a candidate handpicked before all of this, it was almost orchestrated in a
Yeah,
sense.
and like there's some loosely there's controversy. I don't think the same amount. It's not like Finch himself was accused of doing anything bad. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, there definitely are some parallels there. I mean, obviously it worked out really well for the Wolves. But honestly I don't even know how much like Emays can do. I just feel like that's just like a sinking ship right now. But I mean, I was saying earlier, like you look at their roster and there's a lot of talent there. Even like their bench, with like Harris and Curry. Is Warren
And
back
Bronson's
yet?
good.
Like,
That Bronson's good.
I mean, I
Yeah.
guess Warren's kind of no one knows how good he'll be.
Watanabe's given him good minutes so far this year. That surprises me.
Yeah, I saw him. He was closing against the Mavericks. Yeah.
Up and the Bulls. Yeah, he's giving them good minutes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think they don't have enough depth. Obviously, they have no bigs. They have no bigs at all. I mean, Watanabe is probably their second biggest guy, and he's
Yeah.
6'9".
But you think that like I think no bigs is a problem for some teams, but like with like the Nets, like they have the personnel. Then they could go small. Like they have enough shooting, right, between Durant,
They do.
Irving, Curry, Harris. Is
O'Neal,
Cam
even.
Thomas a good outside shooter? I don't know, but like
Yeah.
you would think like they're a little bit better like suited. But they're just getting lit up defensively, obviously. And I think the one criticism of Natch that I had heard just reading the Athletic was that his like offensive sets weren't really that innovative. And that this could be just because like Kyrie and KD just want to run like ISO all the time, but like
Partially why they wanted him, dude. Partially why they wanted him in. They got rid of Kenny Atkinson. They forced Kenny Atkinson, a very good coach at the time,
yeah,
out just so they could get a guy who would let them cook, per se, figuratively speaking. A guy who they respected enough to just trust to be a kind of a player's guy, a player's coach. Obviously, one of the greatest point guards in NBA history. Just kind of like run the ship from to an extent of just being like a supervisor, almost like a substitute teacher. That's kind of the vibe I got from Steve Nash. Like he's just a guy who was there to like make the guys happy. They don't run sets. He wasn't very innovative in that regard. So for him, I was listening to Russillo earlier today. He said that Nash's record with the Nets was like 97 and 64, which considering the amount of games that Irving and Harden missed, that they played no games like the three of
yeah,
them
no,
together.
like they were maybe it was
Pretty good.
last no, not wasn't last year, but 2 years ago, like Irving and Kyrie like or sorry, Irving and KD like hurt a lot, and their bench would still win them a bunch of games. Like it was like so you thought like okay maybe Nash just have some coaching chops, but I mean you're right. I think the main reason they brought him in is because like they felt like he could manage the egos right of like well used to be Harden, but of Kyrie and KD. So yeah, it's I don't know he's out. I don't think Ime's gonna probably make much of a difference. They just went out like their defense was never that good, right? So they needed like elite offense to prop them up, and I don't know if they're an offensive rating, but probably not that great, given their record. So yeah, I don't know. They're like pretty much like they're gonna have to go like lights out. Like Katie's gonna have to like have an MVP type season, I think, for them to. I mean, are we thinking they're playing tournament right now, as is?
I think so. I think
There's
that's
just so
fair.
many good teams in the East now.
And looking at the East right now, you obviously got. I mean, Cleveland's going to be a force this year. They look so good, which makes me kind of jealous that the Wolves haven't
I
gelled quite yet.
know, dude.
This you look Cavs can gel. They're kind of like similar to us in the respect of having the two bigs,
Yeah,
a big trade that's just like kind of shook up their team.
yeah.
You got Toronto, of course. Toronto's always going to make the playoffs. They're just such a well-run organization. Atlanta should be a playoff team with getting DeJounte.
Yeah,
They
no,
got to get
Atlanta's been good too. They've been
yeah.
good with Phil,
Obviously,
man.
Boston. I think the Bulls are a solid, at least playing team. They got the talent.
Yep.
Sixers, the Heat, like those. That's eight
Bucks.
teams I've listed off right there. The Bucks, of course, that's a foregone conclusion.
Bulls just beat them, right?
Bulls beat the Nets just now. Yep.
So
Yep.
who's left? I guess Charlotte. They're probably still better than
Indies toast.
they're
Detroit's probably toast.
maybe. Actually, I mean, I still like the Magic, even though their record isn't very good. I think they're playing Golden
They're
State right
fun.
now.
They beat the
Actually,
Warriors tonight, dude. They beat
they
the
won.
Warriors.
Oh, nice, dude. Yeah, like I could see the Magic coming on. So like,
Warriors are
I
3-6.
guess. Yeah, I
That's
know.
impressive.
Dude, the West has been so weird, man. There's been so many like higher up teams have been really struggling. Between the Clippers and the Warriors, obviously the Wolves have been kind of mid. Even the Nuggets like haven't been super good. Who like I was super high on.
Nuggets and Mavs are kind of mid. Grizzlies lost to Utah twice.
Yeah,
Utah and Portland are
so
both
bad.
second and third in the West right now.
Spurs are
Pretty wild.
we're 5-2. I guess they're 5-3. I saw Toronto beat them by like 43 points last night.
See that. That was pretty eye-opening considering the new look Spurs. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
But anyway, yeah,
Yes.
there's not a lot of teams that are worse than Brooklyn. It's pretty much like you said, it's Indiana for sure, probably Charlotte, and then like the Wizards.
yeah, Washington's a wild card. I could see them honestly making a run at the 10 seed, maybe. But I don't know.
I feel like every year the Wizards just have like
They hang around.
they're fairly deep. They have like a bunch of like 5 to like 8 guys like on their roster, and then like
Yeah,
Beal.
Kristaps having a good year too, dude. Kristaps having a good year.
Yeah.
Beal's there. He's back healthy. We got Monty Morris now.
Yeah.
Kuzma's
Kuzma.
actually
He's been good.
Kuzma's Kuz, but he's been okay. Yeah, he's been good.
Yeah,
Started.
like they have depth, man. They got Barton off the bench. Hachimura's like okay. I think Denny Avgier or whatever is pretty good.
Looks a little better. Yeah.
Gafford's pretty good. Like I don't know, like
He always cooked the Wolves. We can speak to experience with that.
they do, they do. Yeah, yeah.
So,
And them and the Magic is an auto loss.
yeah, man, I'm excited to talk about the NBA as it evolves because right now we're so early in the year and there's like obviously a lot of just weirdness and disorder in the standings. That's going to even itself out over the year, guaranteed. Guaranteed
Yeah.
Utah's not going to stay in the top 6 for long. But, I mean, I thought they were going to beat the Mavs for a second last night, seeing the score when they were up by like 14 in the first half. I was like, no, they can't do it again, can they? But, I don't know. Like it's like the Jesse Pinkman meme where it's like you can't keep getting away with it. Like that's like the thing.
Yeah, well, I think the Jazz are just shooting like super hot right now, right?
Yeah,
I think that's one thing. But I mean, I think Hardy seems like he knows what he's doing. Like when we played them, they seem like they're pretty well run. They play really hard. Like they're not going to be the number 2 seed, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're hanging around for a play-in berth. You know, like
I think they have it in them too.
like
Yeah,
they. I mean, they do have like kind of like the Wizards. They just have like a bunch of kind of like quality NBA players. Maybe not no true stars. The Markkanen's looking pretty nice.
Yeah, he might be an all-star this year.
But like, and they probably will trade some people off. But even so, I can't see them bottoming out, especially with guys like like, and they have like energy guys too with like Vanderbilt and I guess Olynyk. Is Olynyk an energy guy? I don't know.
I don't know, man.
He's a smart guy.
He's a heady veteran, yeah. Eagles are inside the 5 right now. Speaking of just the whole Philly-Houston cross-sport thing we got going on.
Is this to go up by 14?
No, they're up 21-17. The Texans got to the red zone but kicked the field goal. They stalled at like the 10-yard line. Now Goddard's been cooking him on this drive. He's had a good year, dude. He's on my dynasty team this year. I'm reaping the benefits.
Here we go.
Yeah, man. Be crazy. Some guy in my dynasty league today, he traded for AJ Brown and he gave up every single pick in next year's draft that he had. So we have 4-round dynasty drafts, rookie drafts. He traded all his picks for next year to this guy who's openly tanking this year just to accrue as many picks as he can. Let's go, Goddard! Let's go! He just got a touchdown.
Oh my god.
Hurricane Victor's juicing tonight, bro.